book. It was challenging, the first one.
Because he wanted to be in the place of love.
Somebody came up with the idea.
And he was 100% accurate in his prediction.
Selenium, iodine, or calcium, you don't have to know any of that stuff. All you have to be able to do is chew.
My name is Chad Ashley Vandenberg. I want to thank you all for coming today. I know that our time is our energy is our life, and I believe that we got here for a reason, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today and see if we can figure out some super easy, super fun ways to get the nutrient density of our cells so high that there's no competition of resources on the inner biology going on, so that the stress response drops, so that as we drop our stress, our mood improves, and we're discovering that our relationships improve. Our relationship to ourselves and all life improves when we live in harmony with the principles of life. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of those principles as it applies to nutrition and how that fits in with our lifestyle today. So as you all, can I just see a show of hands? How many people here are familiar with this movement that we are all a part of and what this is about here today? Does anybody here have prior experience with this movement? Okay. All right. So basically, this is sponsored by Elements for Life. Elements for Life is a company I created from the very beginning with many people, many amazing individuals who all play their kind of fractally holographic role in the unfolding of a movement, a project so big that it's beyond and bigger than any one of us. And the project has at its heart and core the idea that what we put in us affects what goes out of us, and that the world of transformation begins when we be getting into discovery that it's all a big story, and the story is a reflection so that we can actually see ourselves more clearly, and that the units of seeing, both physically with our physical eyes and emotionally and mentally, are very much related to our putting into practice these principles of life. So Elements for Life, we said, okay, you know, we could just like sell the products. That would be fun. We'd all make a little bit of money. We could all go home. But I know that that is not why we're here. There's something happening on the planet today, and it's a transformation in consciousness. More and more people are realizing every day, every hour, that what I put in me affects what comes out of me. You are what you eat. Oldest phrase in the book. And as you all well know, David Wolf, our very beloved friend and partner on this project in many ways, has so eloquently put, there's no culture on the planet that does not have this phrase at its root. So I want to suggest that instead of just remembering that, yeah, organic is good, getting the pesticides, getting the poison count of the body down so our stress response doesn't have to go through the rough, just doing these things will help a lot, but there's also the next level. And it gets easier, and it's never possible from where we're at right now. The only thing that's possible right here, right now, is the very next step. So some people say a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. I would like to entertain the possibility that there is no journey of 1,000 miles. There's only 1,000 journeys of a single step. And what we do is we provide the steps, step by step, so that wherever a person's at, no matter what culture, no matter what background, no matter what dietary history of them or their ancestors existed, we have now the nutritional information, wisdom, and availability to actually start taking control of our body at the biophysical level, right down to our own DNA. And that's important because DNA has been discovered to spontaneously shift and change in response to our emotions. And that's a powerful thought, because if the DNA is tightening or getting a little bit looser in response to emotion, we've got to ask which emotions are doing what. And the answer to that question is that positive emotions like gratitude, bliss, wonder, awe, these types of things actually are the only thing ever in a laboratory ever found to actually loosen the DNA, actually unwind it. And we think about the phrase, when somebody's all wound up. There's something unique about language that it often calls upon these subconscious conditions that are actually happening, in other realms, whether it's, astronomically or anatomically, there's usually a correlation. So, what are the principles of life? What is it that we can do that takes it to the next level? And to that, I think that when we look to nature, Nature has a way of showing certain things. If we look, learn to read it, and all of a sudden we see that animals, somewhere between 10 times birth to maturity or 40 times birth to sexual maturity is the lifespan of the species. Humpback whales, they live 250 years. It's ironic that they probably are known as the sexually active animal of the marine world to the day they die. Literally, humpbacks hump for 250 years, eating phytoplankton, and that's it. Now, what would we do as human beings if we were able to feed ourselves with that which gave us everything we needed, all the building blocks for the neuropeptides associated with gratitude, bliss, wonder, awe, the physical tissue that's flexible and strong and not breaking down, the organ tissue that's not in competition of resources with digestive enzymes because food went over 105. These are the kinds of things that we got to recognize. This is the biological operation manual of the body, and I live in a modern world. Maybe going 100% raw and living by all these principles is a little bit challenging. That's why we talked about a journey of 1,000 miles. There's no such thing. There's only a journey of a single step, and every step is a victory no matter how far along that path it takes you. So there's no need to measure how far did I get. It's all about where we are and the very next step. And from that place, anything is possible. There's a whole new direction of steps possible from there. But if we're not, in this modern world, able to, gaze at the sunlight every morning, get on our hands and knees and eat grass like the animals, not that any of us would want to, but if that's what our biology is saying and we're not doing it, there's got to be a way to bring the nutrient density in big time, over the top, in a really concentrated fashion with everything our body needs and nothing it doesn't. In fact, actually taking stuff out that's been building up, the negative toxins and things that are, symptoms of our modern lifestyle sometimes. So Elements for Life is about the education, bringing the information in so we know the biological operation manual of the body, and knowing that we are all bridges. We all live in this modern world, and so we can learn to bring things to people that if they're not going to be 100% raw, then you revitify. It's now you can put it into smoothies. Before, it was just an unsustainable way. The packaged food, it went downhill sometime during the industrialized food revolution in the 1900s, and it became mechanized food production, and it lost a lot of its value. It's not that it was bad that it was in a container. In ancient days, it was just a clay container, and it broke and it didn't last as long. We're learning new sustainable ways to do things, and as we utilize the totality of the human possibility for sustainable transportation, sustainable production, and sustainable distribution, to that extent, you're playing a role in a movement, a transformation of a planet. The biosphere will begin operating according to the principles of the human body in its intended format, or it will begin to corrode. That's what we call the aging process. Not that that's not a natural process. Was anybody here at the nutritional panel last night? Okay. They asked about the biological mechanism behind cellular death. And it's interesting that every cell has a lifespan far shorter than the whole. And yet we recognize ourselves to have ownership, my hand. And we recognize my life. And that there's this sense of a holographic integrity of all the parts that is larger. And we all have certain lifespans. The Earth has a lifespan. The solar system has a lifespan. And what we want to recognize is that the role we play within that, when we make conscious choices, because where we are in the scheme of that thing is we've got something very unique. And that's the opportunity to move toward wisdom, knowledge, information, and make conscious choices that radically reconfigures our external experience of the world. So the superfoods are one way that completely allow people to embrace some of these principles like you see in The Secret, or things like where they know if you have positive thoughts, you'll be able to manifest, they say, the world that you want. And I'm suggesting that that's true, and when we're not swimming upstream like a minnow in a fire hydrant hose with nutritional deficit, the very building blocks that would be used to get the body out of stress response because there's no longer competition of resources, and also the right neuropeptide building blocks for the neurochemistry associated with focus, motivation, and drive, then we've got something that anybody can use, no matter where you're from, no matter what your background, that if you're an architect, great. The greatest architectural creativity comes through you when your brain and your body's doing the best it can with the super fuels for really, literally, a superhuman culture. And I don't mean superhuman in the form of, anything crazy, but just that what we consider normal today is tomorrow old news. And that's what we call the 100th monkey effect. It's happening all the time. When they broke the 5-minute mile, prior to that, nobody had done it. Now you got high school kids running the 5-minute mile. What was superhuman 3 centuries ago in human performance fields in athletics is now standard and commonplace. And that's happening in consciousness, with intelligence and emotional receptivity. All aspects of our human potential are at a turning point. Because right now it's been happening through time, just like temperature in the water, degree by degree, weeks, months, nothing happens. A critical fraction of a degree and you get a state change, completely different form of experience of that material. So why we're so passionate is because we've seen people coming from places of disablement, like myself with hypoglycemia and injury, catastrophic injury. I thought I was going to be in pain for the rest of my life. And being brought to my knees, humbled, ego cut out, everything I invested my identity in as a young man, being fast and strong and able, that was all gone. So what I discovered is that through that engagement with life, some of those challenges that life serves us will bring us to a place of recognition that what I'm doing isn't working and opening us to the possibility of something else. That's where I discovered rare trace elements, gold, platinum, indium, and from there, how the rest of the mineral element spectrum is to play a role in the food system. And we are meant to have these rare trace elements from the soil and not have to have a deficit in the body, not have to have competition of resources going on at the internal scale. So what do we need? What is it? I believe it's many things, and we could break it all down. We could get really heady about it. But if there's simple principles, why don't we learn the principles and we can figure out the rest? You won't memorize long Latin names, but the principles are easy. It's alkalinity, it's enzymes, it's rare trace elements, and it's getting the garbage out, getting the toxins out. The unconscious choices of a human culture for many years have resulted now are water polluted, air polluted. These pollutions are constant and nonstop in a polluted world. Therefore, knowing how to get them out every now and then, it goes a long way in making for the experience that we want to have as humans. Okay, so enzymes. Enzymes are the critical factor that every organism produces inside themselves to run their biology. Enzymes are produced to run organs and metabolic processes. They're called metabolic enzymes. Metabolic enzymes start being destroyed at the temperature of 105. Why is that significant? Because enzymes also play a secondary role, and that is to digest, dissolve whatever tissues they're in. So, for example, if a dinosaur in ancient days comes walking along and eats a human, the human has its metabolic enzymes, and because the dinosaur didn't cook its food, it got all of its enzymes and didn't have to rob digestive enzymes to digest its food. Now, as humans, we're very interesting. We do some things that we just accept because we're born into a world, we see it happening, and it's a process of mimicry, and that is we heat our food up, and it's very smart because sometimes when you're in survival situations and the body is in a state of acidity already, you must cook the food because if there's any pathogens in there, they'll take over an acidic environment. So when the body, that's where we're going to see how this plays together, but when the body is alkaline, it's not a favorable environment for the viruses, bacteria, fungus, mold. And then those things are what lodge in the organs and weaken the organs. And then there's a stress response. The body goes, oh my God, we're being invaded, or from the inside out, we don't know what it is, but we know we need lots of soldier cells. We're going to build the immune system. We're going to send out all the white blood cells. And that's how the body wastes a lot of the energy that would be used for youth and longevity. It's being wasted in an alarm system that was set off by an innocent yet unconscious choice of putting something in us that created an acidic environment. If we bring it up over 7.365 suddenly, it becomes an environment inhospitable to all those things. Thus, less energy is needed in building an immune system just to keep up. Just to keep up, that's called sustainability. That's if you're not getting older and you're not getting younger. Now, what happens when we want to start moving forward, right? It's the three things. Enzymes, you got to get the enzymes in. If you're cooking food, I'm not here to suggest that you got to change. I don't know what you got to do because you are you. You're here on a divine path. Eat what you will and know that your body has its own idea of what works. And so, if we're going to get our enzymes and we're going to cook our food, we've got to have an external source of highly dense enzymes. And that's what we're talking about Island Fire for. 140 enzymes comes from a plant in nature. It's the most concentrated natural source of enzymes. And one thing about, this plant called Morinda citrifolia, there have been many companies, many probably love them. And the neat thing about these companies is they are all thriving on providing this material right here. But the interesting thing is the processing that brings it from the tree to the consumer is often a process that results in a diminishing of its enzyme potential because enzymes start being destroyed at 105. So our way of processing the enzyme is a cold-based process that allows for the integrity of all the enzymes, 140 enzymes, some of which are only found in this plant. And to this plant, we decided to add some warming herbs, ginger, cayenne, turmeric, for their blood cleansing effect, for their warming effect, which dilates blood vessels, gets the enzymes in deep, closes it back over, and allows a lifestyle of unconscious choices resulting in enzyme deficit to actually come back so that we can replete the enzymes from a lifestyle of eating depleted enzyme foods. That's part of the equation. And if it's not this, whoever you are, wherever you are, enzymes somewhere. Find it, and then alkalinity. So we talked about alkalinity a little bit and how it's crucial in the body's process. It's so important that if it fluctuates too far at the blood level, you die. It's as important as oxygen. So our body very intelligently learns how to create the right pH balance. And how it does is it takes alkaline elements from the body, even if it has to rob it from your teeth, even if it has to rob it from your bones or your skin or wherever it has to take it from, it will, for survival purposes, maintain the blood at the right pH. And to do this, it'll pull alkaline elements from all the other tissues if it needs to, if it's not available somewhere else. So when we're eating foods that create an acidic environment, it also draws our body's mineral reserves down. That means our organs are struggling. That means our tissues are in what we call the aging process. Aging has nothing to do with looking old. Aging is simply movement through time. What we call the aging is a cultural programmed response to believe that this is what it looks like. Okay? What we're seeing is not the effect of aging, but the effect of that mineral enzyme balance being distorted and acidic conditions coming in. So this product right here, maybe you can zoom in on that, I'll hold real still, but this product right here is the marine phytoplankton we talked a little bit earlier about. And this is very interesting because this product is actually what people say, well, the oceans are polluted. So what they do, they go down deep, they get it where there's no pollution, and they filter it, and they make sure it's the pure spectrum of the ocean water. They take out 90% of the sodium by a process of evaporation. They take that purified, nutrient-dense, ocean-derived mineral solution, and then of the 40,000 some species of phytoplankton, they took the #1 super strain of all the qualities that our human bodies need for metabolism, and it put it in there with that. So this is 70% pure, rare trace element from the oceans infused with live, cold-processed phytoplankton. It keeps it, I don't know if you want to call it suspended in animation, but it's so alkaline, it's totally preserved in its own fluid. It's an incredible product for alkalinity and getting the brain peptides, the proteins that our bodies need for all of these effects. This right here, this is called Revitify. I don't know if we have a big bottle. I'm going to check, yeah. No, okay. So this is a sample bottle, and we'll hand some of these out. But Revitify, by a very virtue of its name, re means to come back to, vita is life, and phi is this geometric ratio that occurs in the brain waves in the heart and the biorhythms of the body when this happens, when we put this into practice. So when life comes back, when we put into practice the principles of life, all of a sudden it affects our emotions, it affects our mind. And Revitify was kind of invented because there's a revolution happening in the world of grasses, and that is people are realizing that the grasses contain everything that the human beings need, and in vast quantities. And it just depends on which species of grass. They're finding wild grasses are better. But how many people in our modern world are really going to get out on their knees in the morning like Nebuchadnezzar and just start munching wild grass? Now, I'm pretty extreme, but I still haven't gotten all the way to that point yet. And so we're realizing, well, why don't we get this stuff all in one spot? Why don't we put the rare herbs from all the cultures and their longevity traditions, the Ayurvedic culture with the ashwagandha. Let's talk about the Chinese, Hu Shu Wu, meant black hair forever, or some crazy, linguistic description, which meant that people who start taking this start going through a youthing process according to their herbal traditions. Now, when we take that and we take the strongest longevity herbs of every culture and put them together, that's the Hu Shu Wu, the Gotu Kola, the Indian Tulsi, the Ginkgo, the Moringa. Moringa is this plant that grows out in Africa, it grows in Asia, grows in South America. But my friend who went to Africa, he met some of the the chieftains at the edge of a village who took him way out into the bush, where he met the different indigenous medicine men and shaman, and they would give this moringa to themselves. They would fast on the live leaf, something like a few leaves a day, and it would provide everything the body needed. And they would soon become keen like animals. Their senses would amplify, their hearing, their sight, their smell. And it was known that wherever there was toxicity in the body, they said it would turn to heat. It would burn it out and literally turn to heat in the body. Now, people don't have that powerful of effect from this because this is not eating the live leaf, just little bits of it for weeks at a time. But it has it in there, and it supplies the nutrients that are present in the moringa, and it does provide its detoxification effect, along with the other ones, which I have been using for many years because of my need to rebuild my nervous system, my need to overcome the hypoglycemia, my ability to have done things like gymnastics in the past gave me the motivation to know that this is not worth losing. I want back times 10 what I had before, and I'm willing to get in harmony with the principles of life to have it. And after a while, it becomes fun and easy, and I don't have to think about what to eat. I never think about that. I have the best food all the time. It's so good. And so, I can live on this stuff. I show up at airports. This is a meal right here. 2 of these. I could eat 2 of these in a day with water, and I'm fine. I don't even put it in. I put it in my hand. A lot of people, you can put this with Sacha Inchi oil, which is an omega-3 source. We carry it. You can put it with coconut oil, nice source of raw saturated fats. And you'll get something that works savory or sweet. You can serve it up with guests, and it's fun to talk about. It's like, hey, not only are you eating this, but, read the bottle, and it's like, whoa. It's pretty wild. It's pretty fun. We have a lot of good times together. We have little parties. We call them superfood soirees. Usually somebody's got a camera, and we're making fun kind of clips about sharing this. And really what happens when we put it in us is creativity goes up. When we're not in competition at the biological resource level, our body can relax, and all the energy that was invested in stress, which showed up as negative thoughts about the world, which would then be attracted into our life, all of a sudden we find creativity flowing. We find that place of unconditional joy. Like I didn't need a reason. That's what our bodies would like to do. And I find that our emotions is a lot like our higher self on a donkey, okay, in terms of neuropeptides. Literally. Like, here's what we're doing in our modern world. Our higher self is like guiding the stick with the carrot, which is the neuropeptide, in the direction of your soul talent, in the direction of your heart's highest calling. Right? And every time we move into that freedom and move and accept and say yes to who we are in truth and embody some of that potential, it feels great. It's the best ever. And the higher self dumps those peptides in, and that's the imprint. That's the biological reward. But we live in a culture where we're taught that that's all secondary. Your job is to 9 to 5, here to there, do what you're told, and then all of a sudden some external source will be given as that carrot at the end of the donkey's stick. And if you're not feeling good about that, then it's time to just take some little hard pill that was created in a machine and get over it, I'm saying maybe if we're depressed, we should just hold still long enough to think about where we would want to be, what we want to do. What are we here for? What are our gifts? What are our talents? And if we don't have the energy to live that gift and talent into the world, then maybe we should search for the information that allows us to have the energy, the information that allows us to not be drained. And that's the principle. It's not just about the products. This is a vehicle for transmission of information. And we supply the products, and when we do, together we focus our energy like a magnifying glass. Because, yeah, network marketing, fractal marketing. We can all make awesome entrepreneur incomes helping people doing this. And what I wanted to do is with this company as a whole, let's create a funding vehicle for visionary projects around the world for sustainable agriculture, sustainable architecture, sustainable human cultural interaction systems based on the principles of life. And it does take energy, it does take time, it does take money, right? And so we're not looking to special interest groups to create that. We're doing it. Together, we are the ones doing it. So together, we can do anything. And that's why it's not just me out there on the internet selling this stuff. We need you. You're connected to people who would never listen to me. They may think I'm crazy or far out. They may think that I didn't go to the same Yale or Harvard. So, but you went to Yale. You went to Harvard. We're in on this. So, hey. All right. With that, I want to talk a little bit about the gold, and then I want to invite up a very special friend, an absolutely amazing mind. You're going to see a lot more of this individual. But first, right here, right now, this is how it all started. This is with a product called colloidal gold. We actually called it Gold Rush. But at one point, when I was in a gymnastics accident, I broke my knee. To make a long story short, I didn't have insurance. I was on crutch 3 months, and I was in total pain constantly. I wasn't able to sleep. I was at my rope's end. And somewhere along the line, I read that if they cut you open, slide a gold coin in like they did in the 1800s, sew you back up, the pain goes away. I was willing. I was looking for gold coins. Luckily, I heard about colloidal gold right before then, because you know, I'm the kind of guy that just would do that myself. Anyway, yeah. So I heard about this colloidal gold and how the ancient alchemists had ways of taking gold and creating such a fine particle size that it was actually turning colors. It turned red or it would turn white, and that was considered to be just a fable up until the early or late 1800s, early 1900s, when some of the Western chemists were able to replicate it. But up till that time, it was considered just, you know, old alchemist wives' tale kind of stuff. Then suddenly they discovered gold, broken down into fine particles, becomes red. Now all of a sudden there's something that we can look at when those ancient alchemists and those wisdom traditions said the whole point of metals is to turn them into gold. And then we think, oh, what were they going to do? Sell it on the gold COMEX stock market? No. They were turning it into something they put back in them. They called it the Philosopher's Stone. They called it the, you know, youthful immortality elixir. Now, I don't see any of them around today. They obviously didn't live long enough to meet me. But at the same time, there was this effect that was reputed and that people would get younger. I'm suggesting that it wasn't some crazy substance that made them get younger, but that they were actually filling the niche of the depleted soil system spectrum, and that when we got back in us what nature would have intended all along, it's amazing what happens. Animal species, birth to maturity times 10, lifespan. You do that to a human, our lifespan should be somewhere between 200 and 600 years. Turtles do it, parrots do it. We don't. I'm suggesting let's just put it all back in us and watch what happens. Maybe we don't live to 600. That's okay. It's not about that. It's about the window of the golden years that is expanded, where we still have our motivation and our drive and our energy, and we've attained wisdom. Because the combination allows culture to go to a whole new place. Right now we're living in a culture where the wisdom of the elders doesn't get passed on because it never gets embodied, because the human is dying at the halfway point. You know, and a few of them get it and they write it down, and just before they fall off the edge of the face of the story, the next one picks up and we piece it all together. And then if we don't have to reinvent the wheel and write our little piece in, we can actually read the book and pick up where they left off. And that's how evolution happens, mentally, emotionally, physically, nutritionally. And so we don't have to reinvent the world, the wheel, the world. But we did that with this one. Okay, so yeah, it's already here. All the challenges, you know, they say, oh, raw food, cold weather, all this kind of, all of that is easy. We don't have to figure it out anymore. It's already here. But for that, I'm grateful. And Gold Rush Colloidal Gold is associated with dreaming, very vivid imagination, the uniting of the hemispheres, the electrical system. Gold is used in high-fidelity sound systems because of the smoothness of the transmission, because of the smoothness of the signal, not just because it's highly conductive. That's the sound quality. Same with the electrical connections in computers. Now our brain and our heart run on electricity, and I'm suggesting that the more conductive we are with the smooth signal transfer elements, the more noble our thoughts are. Because conductivity and resistance are antidotes or mutually exclusive. You can be in resistance physically and angry and constipated emotionally, and you'll be tense physically. And the moment you become conductive at the nervous system level, the body starts getting happy again. The mind starts having positive thoughts, and we lose less energy, and we're on track and on purpose. So how do we do this? You know, if we created a system, how's it work? How do we make it fun, easy, and accessible for everyone? And with that, I'd like to invite up Jim Quick, who is, during his everyday life, a teacher and a trainer in accelerated learning. And I can tell over the course of these last few months that he's an absolute genius. He's extremely intelligent and absolutely an amazing, open-hearted individual who is here to help us embody our potential. He's here to help us manage our mind and emotions in a way that allows us to succeed at anything we do. You know, no matter what fuel we're fueling it with, there's certain principles, and I want him to share these. All right. Thank you, Jim.
Most out of an event like this, there's so much information, but you really have to pay attention. And that's one of those things. It's kind of like I ask somebody to draw a circle, and you ask you to draw the back of a dime. Do you actually know what a dime actually looks like in the back? Could you actually sketch that out? And it's something you see many times a day, but there's a difference between looking at something and really paying attention. And that's kind of like what the information is here. How many people have been asking for an opportunity to take your life, kind of like you see the world going in a certain place? How many people like to notice that the world has a certain story that it's kind of writing out, and people don't like the direction of where that's going? There's more disease, there's more debt, there's more depression, there's more detachment, more than ever before. What we need to do is get to this place, right? We need to be able to transcend. And I'll think about that word, transcend. End the trance. You need to end the trance in terms of the hypnosis that we're being conditioned, that we don't have the power, that we can't make the difference, that this reality is okay. So what I'm really excited about, I've been a lot of you know our lead distributor, Dave. How many people have heard of David Wolf? Did anyone go see him the past couple of days when he spoke here? Yeah, big fans. I've known David now for 10 years, and he got me onto the raw food movement, and I've been living that kind of lifestyle since then. And since I've met Chad taking these superfoods, with what I do, I teach accelerated learning. You know, with a name like Quick, your life is pretty much planned out. You know, I have to be a runner back in school. I have to make sure I don't get speeding tickets, because that's really bad, because you're not talking your way out of a ticket when your license says Quick right on it. And I have to teach accelerated learning. But what I like to do is get quick results, and I think the results come from profound knowledge. You know, that kind of knowledge, you kind of learn it and you can apply it now. Because who has the time to be able to wait, especially in today's information age so quickly? The amount of information now doubles. You know how long it takes the amount of information to be twice as much from now it exists? How many years do you think that takes? Yeah. It's actually 2 or 3 years now. The amount of information that exists now will be twice as much just 2 or 3 years from now. So we need to be able to be quick about it. And so one of the things I liked about the quality of the products when I was starting to take it, especially the gold, I just felt amazing. I actually was with David at a retreat. I had tried some of the gold there with some of the owners of Elements for Life, and I was just like sitting in the seminar, and I was just like, wow. It was everything I hoped for and more. So what we're doing here today is, with Chad, who's just one of the most amazing people I've ever met in terms of genius, he has these amazing superfoods. And how many people take superfoods now? How many people like to get superfoods at a discount? Anyone rather pay more? So we actually have an opportunity here today for you to be able to get all your superfoods through Elements for Life. Foods you're probably already getting at your health food store, get them a little bit at a discount. They're all organic, they're all wildcrafted, and you have an opportunity to do that and also share it with people. How many people like helping other people? Yeah. How many people have ever been involved in loyalty marketing or network marketing before? Right. So a lot of us have, and what we're looking for today is something a little bit, maybe 180 degrees different. Maybe something that's not so much based on sales as much as is based on service. And that's when Chad was looking for a way to distribute a product like gold, which is an unbelievable product. He was thinking like, well, you could put this product in like a health food store, but is it going to really get the education it deserves if it's sitting next to, on the shelf with people that really don't know so much about the product? So he found out that through network marketing, the form of word-of-mouth advertising, like how many people have ever recommended a restaurant to other people, or a movie, or a book? And that's what we're doing here with Elements for Life. We're recommending these products for other people, and instead of paying big advertisers on Madison Avenue and putting full-page ads in magazines, these 30-second expensive commercials, we're taking these products, that money, and actually giving it back to people who refer it to other people. How many people think that's more fair? When you recommend product to be able to get commissions on it. It's kind of like a free energy exchange. And that's what we're doing here. And because the product ships directly to you, it's not going through like the normal sales distribution. It's not going through a wholesaler. It's not going through a jobber. It's not going through a shipper. It's not going through a retailer. Because what happens to the price of the product every time it goes from place to place? It goes up, right? So these products actually go directly to you. It goes like this. Here. Like this. And then because it goes like that, you get to have the product, and then you get it at a discount. How many people like to have products at a discount? So you get the very best products. They all have a 100% satisfaction guarantee to them. And when you recommend it to two people who recommend it to two people, approximately 90% of your products are free. How many people like that idea? How many people know people that should really be taking these superfoods? One? Do I know at least two people? A lot of people. So what we're doing here is we put together a system, and we found that network marketing is responsible for creating more wealth in this country than any other industry in the world. It's created actually more millionaires than any other industry. And there's a gentleman by the name of Paul Zane Pilzer. Paul Zane Pilzer is a world-famous economist. He served on two presidential advisors. He's an instructor here, a professor at NYU, was the youngest VP at Citibank. And he predicts, because of the wellness revolution, supplements and chiropractic and superfoods, all those things, and the rise of network marketing, that it's going to be responsible for creating 10,000 new millionaires, 10,000 new millionaires over the next few years. How many people like to be one of those people? And so that's what we're talking about. Network marketing is like the people's franchise. If you look across the street, there's a famous burger franchise. How much does it cost to open up one of those franchises? Probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. To get involved here with this company, $59. $59, you could get all these products at wholesale. And you actually get your own website. How many people like to have their own website, even if you know nothing about computers? So for my company, I created a website for my teaching. I teach speed reading and memory and that kind of thing. It cost me over $10,000 to create that website. For $59, you get your very own website. And any products that you send people there, they buy products, you actually make the retail difference. So you actually would earn commissions of people that actually buy products on your site. And it's really that great. And what I'm looking for was a company, there's other network marketing companies out there. And I don't think everything's for everybody or everybody's for everything. But it's really important to find something that you believe in. How many people agree? And in order to be able to promote something or share something, you have to believe in the products and you have to believe in the people behind it. Because it's not just about profit. It's more the triple bottom line, right? The triple bottom line is not just about profit. It's about planet and it's about people. Right? There's got to be some kind of give back to social and economic and environmental, and that's what this company put together. Through this company, they created something called fractal marketing. It's a way for you to get your products at wholesale for just $59, and you get all your products at wholesale. You get your own website. If you recommend it to people, you get commissions on that. When they recommend it to people, you also get commissions on that, and so on and so forth, 9 levels deep, potentially. So there are a lot of people that come on board just to get their products at wholesale. There are other people that come on board just to get their products for free. And other people get involved just to make... I had somebody call me up last week, and they just got a $1,100 check. Now, can you imagine, just now walk through this. You get home, you go into your mailbox, you open up your mail, you have a check there, and there's a check, there's something that says Elements for Life, you're not sure what it is, you open it up, and you see a check made out to your name for, let's say, $350 made out to your name. How many people would be pretty happy if that happened? So that's what we're looking together. Now, we can't make promises because of, we can't make promises of income claims, but we can make a promise to do what we can to help you to be able to support you. So what we did was we created a site called superheroteam.com. We created a group of Elements for Life distributors, independent from Elements for Life, created a website where it's kind of like the most amazing training on superfoods, this lifestyle, and build your Elements for Life business. And it's absolutely 100% free. And how many people like to see exclusive videos with David Wolfe? All those videos, we have hundreds of hours of videos with David Wolfe on this site for you to be able to go through recipes on how to use superfoods, how to be able to expand your business. So that's what we put together today. And I think our time is up. If you'd like to join us on our venture today and make a difference, we have we have information here. We're in the table in the bookstore. In the bookstore in the back, Elements for Life table. Feel free to join us. You can try all the products there. And thank you very much, and have the best day ever.